Hi, I'm Rick Kaler. Thanks for joining me. Have you ever been tempted to ignore a dripping faucet? Just a drop here and a drop there, and it doesn't look like much. But leave it long enough, and you potentially have water damage. And I was thinking about this that inflation really works the same way. Ignoring it is like letting a faucet drip in the basement. It's easy to overlook in the short term, but likely to cause some real damage over time. The slow but steady leaking, the drip, drip, drip way of purchasing power, and you apply that to inflation, can really soak through your savings if you're not paying attention. Let me give you an example. A relatively modest inflation rate of just 2% or 3%, it shrinks the value of a dollar by 20 to 26% over 10 years. Now that means what would cost $10,000 to buy today in 10 years will cost $12,600. A higher rate of inflation then reduces the dollar's purchasing power by even more. This is the case even when the inflation increase, like post-pandemic spike that we had in 2022, is relatively brief. Inflation might drop back to previous levels, but prices don't go down accordingly. Instead, they go back to rising at a slower pace. Now, what kind of maintenance does it take to prevent inflation leakage? Here's a couple suggestions. First, understand the appropriate role for cash in your investment portfolio. I sometimes hear people say, I'll just hold cash until things feel more certain. The problem is that certainty has a price. From a behavioral perspective, it's easy to understand why people cling to cash. It feels solid, it feels safe, it feels stable. You can see the balance in your account. It doesn't bounce around like the stock market. Yet that sense of safety can be deceptive. Relying on cash might help us avoid the discomfort of volatility. But the price of that comfort is the hidden damage of allowing inflation to drain your purchasing power. So instead, right-size your cash according to your particular needs. It's a pretty good idea to keep 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in a savings or money market account. You may want more than this if your income is uncertain, or you are withdrawing investment funds for retirement living expenses. A financial advisor can help you establish that right amount for your particular circumstances. Beyond that, cash sitting in an account is water slipping down the drain. Second, match money to time. If you're going to need funds in 1 to 3 years for expense like tuition, a remodel, a car, short-term bonds or CDs are a good fit. A ladder of short-term treasuries or CDs can give you both the safety and a little bit of return. For 3 to 7 years, you may want a blend of bonds with some conservative stock exposure. For goals beyond 7 years, you probably want to lean more toward equity or equity-like investments. In the long term, diversified stock exposure remains one of the best ways to stay ahead of inflation. Usually with bonds or cash, the very best you can do is to stay equal to inflation. And in many cases, you don't get that. Third, consider some inflation-aware tools. For example, Treasury inflation protected securities, which the acronym is TIPS, and I bonds can help guard against inflation, though they're not standalone solutions. They can be an addition to your portfolio that can help. I think of them as the anti-bonds because the interest rate varies with inflation. So think of them as an extra sealant around your financial plumbing, not a whole new system. Finally, keep your spending plan realistic. Even when inflation is quiet, build in regular small cost of living increases. The Fed's target is 2 to 3%. The historical average is around 3.3%. So every year, build in a cost of living appreciation, which would be the cost of inflation. If you're retired, revisit your withdrawal rates to make sure that they account for both returns and inflation. Sometimes the best way to avoid a financial leak is just as simple as tightening the faucet, spending a little bit less, or delaying a major purchase until income and markets catch up. Inflation's a quiet seeping in the background that you may not notice today. Yet over years, it can drain value from your retirement reservoir. The fix doesn't require a full remodel, just regular maintenance, right-sizing cash, aligning investments with time horizons, and reviewing your plan regularly. Tending to those small leaks now can help prevent mopping up